just painted the grinder. I'm letting it dry. So while I did that, I wanted to go over this flex shaft bench grinder. A funny story about getting this. I went to Harbor Freight 30 miles away and I picked up a scroll saw. Brought it home, it was broke. Look for the review on that and you'll see what happened with that. So I saw this and wanted it, so I called that Harbor Freight and said, I'm bringing back the scroll saw, but I want one of these, but I want to verify you have one before I do. I'd been up there a couple weeks ago and they didn't have this. They said, sure, we have it. Come on up. It'll be here on the shelf on Saturday. So I drove up Saturday. Wasn't there. Didn't have any. So I talked to the manager. And actually, I told her how much it cost me in gas to go up there and back. And she gave me a gift card for the gas. Thought that was kind of nice. So I ended up going to the Harbor Freight that's 30 miles in the other direction to get this. Okay, from the way I look at this, to me this is a Dremel tool. Little nicer maybe, more options, but still just a Dremel tool. Maybe that doesn't go as fast. We'll have to look at that. So, what have we got here? We have that's a polisher. It says bench grinder, but that one's a polisher. This one is a sharpener. That's a grinder on this side. So it has speed 0 to 10,000. Now the Dremel pretty sure does 0 to 30,000. So here's the shaft. It is detachable, which is kind of nice if I want to run this as a bench grinder, which isn't likely for me. But if I want to run it as a bench grinder, I can. Otherwise, I have this. Now, I'm not too happy with this. That is plastic. So, it's got a shaft, kind of like a speedometer cable. The old speedometer cables anyway. And it just fits on. Feels really cheap because this nut is plastic. And what I'm attaching to is metal. Okay, so that's okay. 3-inch multi-purpose item 43533, 3-inch multi-purpose bench grinder. So I've got the flex shaft. We have some accessories. Okay, looks like this is going to attach on the top of this and is the protection. I have mixed emotions about even attaching that, but I will. The reason I have mixed emotions is, in my opinion, these things have the sole purpose of creating vibrations. So I'm thinking it goes on pretty much like this. Just a cover. I would have expected that to come down more. This is their little grinder angle holder. So you put it on the left side of this bar right here. Hold it in place. Put this knob in to hold it in place. Okay, when I first saw this, I thought, that's a little hinky. But actually, I like this because it's adjustable. It's much easier to set the angle you want by pulling this down. So it's okay. I don't think it sits quite square to the blade. I thought that was an Allen key, but it's not. It's actually the equivalent of a motor pin. You put it in there to hold that shaft as a hole, and you turn this to tighten in your tool. So that's kind of okay. I mean, that's different, but it works. I'll put this in my hand before I start this. So just turn it on. Okay, this has an on-off. It's a click right at the beginning. You can hear it click to turn it on. That doesn't quite run true. That's off center somehow. If you try to use this, what's going to happen? It doesn't spin, and it spins off center. I need to decide if that's the tool itself or the end. So let's take the tool out. Wow, I had to loosen that a lot. So I'm just going to tighten this with nothing in it. That's a dinky little tool. That's what it's supposed to. I think it won't last that long. This one puts out some air. I think that's the tool. Let me go get another end, and I'll be right back. Good evening. Back with the grinder with the flex shaft. So I want to make sure it works. This is the on-off switch and the speed control. You turn it a little bit, and it clicks and turns on. That's low speed. And there's 10,000 RPM. That also rotates the shaft at the same speed. I originally thought this was like a Dremel, but a Dremel will do 30,000 RPMs and this will only do 10. So to change it, you rotate this till you see the motor lock. There's a hole. Put that through there and it locks the shaft. So they give you this pin to do that. There you go. So once you have this locked, you can take off the collet nut. Okay, and it has a collet adapter. See how that looks? So that is very small collet, and it's a 1/8 inch. And if they have the 1/8 inch, I'm thinking that they probably have other collets, if you can find them. So I went and got the pieces to the 80-piece Rotary toolkit. That's like $6 or $7 and is very, very popular. So if I look at this, it has similar collets. So what are the odds they fit? Well, they don't. They do not fit. They are just slightly too large. Now, if you have a metal lathe, you could probably turn those down. I wouldn't try it without a metal lathe. I'm actually kind of disappointed that didn't work because it would be better to have 3/32. I have dozens of bits for a Dremel, but probably 2/3 of those are 3/32 and 1/3 of them are 1/8, so only 1/3 of those will come over to this. I don't know that that's important, but versatility is always good. So I'll put the 1/8 collet back in. Put the collet nut on. Okay, they only give you one tool. They give you this cheap little wrench to tighten it with. So pull out the lock, and we'll turn this on slow. I have a piece of scrap metal. Okay, so that actually seems pretty round. First I didn't think it was. So it seems pretty rounded. Seems true, the piece. I was worried the shaft wasn't in line, but it is. So let's take that out. It always seems it's never in the right spot, and it's hard to get it in the right spot. If you're wondering why I used the long piece and the short piece, it is possible that if the short piece is on there, I might not notice it's on there and try to start it. So if I leave the long piece out, it's a lot more difficult to miss. So, just need to loosen that a little bit and the tool will fall right out. So I have some 1/8 shaft from my Dremel tool. So there are options. So they give you this one tool, and they obviously think you're going to use it to grind away some metal. So I'll put this on. Tighten that. Okay, pull out the lock. I know this is a duplication of the Dremel, but to me it's a different tool because it's more like holding a pencil. So I think that the smaller shaft is going to be easier to control if I'm working on something. And I thought about trying powered wood carving with this. So let's take the shaft off. So as you can see, it's a lot like a speedometer cable. It's a flex shaft, and it just rotates in there, and it goes in the end there, which grabs it and spins it. It's an ingenious little design, and it's a logical addition to a grinder because a grinder is a shaft that turns. I did see where somebody said they used that for dust collection. I don't know that I've ever seen dust collection on a grinder, but this is a Scotch-Brite wheel for polishing. So let's see how it does. Well, we've hit the first problem. If I have a long tool like this, it's hard for me to get enough room down here to get it at the right angle. As you can see, this is a crap chisel. It's part of, I bought a box of tools and it was in it. I don't really care what happens to it. Now, this one's going to be a lot more difficult. I'm actually going to want to do this. I'm almost going to have to put it on a box to use it. So now I can get enough clearance below it to get the right angle. I'm approximating 45 degrees. Okay, when I turn it to 10,000 RPMs, it works fine. Hit that at several different angles. Let's turn it to half. So let's straighten it out a little bit. That looks a lot better. Not perfect by any means. So say I wanted to clean off the back of the chisel. It's working actually pretty good. Not perfect, but it's good. I'm actually okay with that bevel. It's not perfect, but this is a cheap chisel, and I was just playing around. Take a few minutes to get used to the angle on that. To me, it feels weird. The other grinder I have, the big 8-inch, runs at 3450, and it seems to do fine. This one, I'm thinking you got to go very close to the 10,000 to get it to work right. It seems to want to slow down, doesn't have enough torque to keep it turning, and I was just barely laying that chisel on it. So I think I'll use this wheel a lot to polish things. This, I'll use some. I've got the 8-inch grinder, so I'm not sure that I'll use this very much. While this is nice and you should use it, I don't always use it. The biggest thing I'll use is the shaft. I think you can do a little bit more detail work with this, and it's not as bulky as a Dremel, so you can hold it in your hand. Be interesting to try to do touch-ups or wood carving with it. So I'll show you once more how this attaches. There's a hole in the center of that. You put that speedometer light cable down in there, and it has to fit correctly because that's square. So you just want to be sure that that square fits in there. Once you have that, you can then screw this on. Now that nut is plastic, so I think I'd be careful with that over time. I really like that it has these strain relief springs as it comes out and on the business end. Okay, so my overall impression of this, yes, I'll use it. I'll use this a lot. I'll use this a lot. This, not so much. I'll probably be more likely to use my 8-inch grinder for sharpening things. But I do like this adjustable bevel here. So I could set the bevel to about anything I want. Problem is the wheel is so small and the curvature would be so tight on a small wheel that you're going to have trouble getting a flat surface consistently on anything you sharpen. Especially a chisel end. You're going to want to put a dip in it, which I do have a dip in this one. So you've got to be a lot more careful. Maybe that'd be good for the final, 1/8-inch bevel. They sell replacement stones and polishers at Harbor Freight. Be a long time before I would need a replacement unless I break this one. But nice to have options for replacement. I think this is a good tool. I think this is going to work out really well. This is going to work out pretty good. This, I'm not sure how much I want to use. I got this at the ITC price, $29.99. Regular price is $37.99, so you're getting about $9 off. That's more than 20% off, so I thought that was a pretty good deal. Item 43533. For some reason, they didn't have it in stock at one store, so I had to go to the other store to get it. Actually, I find that a lot with the one store. I don't know if they sell a lot of stuff or they just don't stock a lot of stuff. Okay, the pin. Not much you can do with the pin. It's about what it needs to be. The little wrench, well, need to find a replacement for that. I went over my toolbox and I had a 10mm wrench that seems to be about the same thing. 10mm is pretty close. So you take the open end wrench, and that's going to loosen and tighten that pretty good. So 10mm, I'd much rather use this than this little piece. But as with everything else, I'll keep this little piece. And I'm actually going to put these in with my Dremel tools. I have a big case that I put all of my Dremel tools in, so that'll just be a convenient place to keep track of it. I have that problem a lot with these types of tools. Where do you store the stuff to find them when you need them? So I got one of these 4-inch magnetic parts holder and took the magnet off. So I'd rather have a flat spot to put this on. think I'm going to settle for the back of the motor. Putting the plastic cover against the thing might be the best way to go. While I wish I had a smaller magnet, that will most certainly work. It actually has air holes right here. I don't want to block those. So that'll always be there when I need it. And the 10 millimeter, I can just put that right with it. I have enough of those that I could put one with a couple of different tools. Nice tool, $29.99 on sale. If you like the videos, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.